I'm Ethan Parker, 28 years old, and the sting of my father's harsh words still burns. At Thanksgiving dinner, Dad said, "You're a leech, you can't stay after November bills. Stick around to see the shocking retaliation that unfolds, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell." It was a chilly November evening on November 27, 2024, in Toronto, the air crisp with the scent of pine from High Park and the distant hum of streetcars along Queen Street, when I sat in the cramped dining room of our family apartment, a modest unit in Parkdale I'd helped maintain since moving back in 2022. The room, with its scratched oak table, faded photos of family holidays, and a faint aroma of roasted turkey, had always been my refuge. But that night, it turned into a battleground where my father's rejection was laid bare under the flicker of a chandelier. I was 28, a struggling graphic designer with a knack for digital art, my recent layoffs leaving me reliant on him, my spirit bruised but hopeful among relatives who saw me as the lost son. I'd returned to Toronto after a failed startup in Ottawa, chipping in with rent and groceries, my savings drained by a 12% interest loan, my name a quiet presence among cousins who leaned on my skills. That evening, as I passed the mashed potatoes, Thanksgiving 2024, a modest meal I'd helped cook, my father, Robert, glared across the table. "You're a leech, you can't stay after November bills," he snapped, his voice rough, blaming me for draining his pension, $1, $500 monthly, despite my $300 contributions. To cast me out, he enlisted my stepmother, Linda, who nodded with a smirk, and my uncle, who muttered about tough love, spinning tales of my laziness, to justify cutting my access to the Wi-Fi I'd installed. My savings, once a shared buffer, were now a point of contention, Linda hinting at reclaiming my room for storage. My friend, Tara, a supportive coder with a sharp wit, offered a couch, but my confidence crumbled under their scorn, my dream of stability fading into the cold reality of a backpack and a bus ticket. Those words, "You're a leech," became a relentless echo, pounding through every sketch I drew, every job application I sent, every night I spent planning. I felt the weight of that moment in the days that followed, sitting on the oak table's edge, a torn utility bill in hand, as I scrolled through job listings on my phone, the screen dimming my tired eyes after sleepless nights replaying his words. The dining room, with its mismatched chairs Tara had jokingly painted, a rug worn from pacing, and a single window framing the Toronto skyline, felt like a cage of their rejection. Tara took on extra freelance gigs, apps in Liberty Village, websites in the Junction. Her evenings spent coding under a desk lamp, the scent of coffee a testament to her support, while I pieced together a fragile escape with odd jobs at a cafe in the Distillery District, design hustles in Etobicoke, and the last of my savings. My younger sister, Mia, born in 2005, grew up with my digital doodles on her tablet, her teenage questions a soft ache. "Why's Dad mad at you?" she'd ask, her fingers tracing my sketches. I'd smile through the tightness, spinning tales of new starts. But the truth gnawed. Robert and Linda had exiled me, their narrative of my worthlessness spreading to relatives, their control a barrier to my redemption. Robert and Linda's dominance grew in the weeks that followed. By December 2024, they'd turned my room into a storage space, filling it with old furniture, while I couch-surfed, my art gear stashed in Tara's closet. I rebuilt quietly, launching a freelance portfolio by January 2025 from her apartment, my posts gaining traction, logos for businesses in Scarborough, banners in North York, who valued my work, my reputation a quiet ripple in Toronto's creative scene. But the wound deepened with every family update, Robert's smug texts about peace, Linda's Facebook posts from Niagara Falls, Mia's confusion at my absence, each a fresh cut, Tara's unwavering support, her late-night code reviews, her homemade soup, her Wi-Fi password, kept me steady, her friendship a lifeline in the storm. The turning point came on November 30th, 2024, when Robert's threat materialized. He texted, "Bills due, you're out by midnight." My pulse raced. This was my breaking point. That night, I contacted Tara, who helped me draft a plan. "You can fight back, Ethan," she said, her tone firm. "Cut their losses. On December 1st, 2024, I turned the dining room into my strategy hub. Amid sketches and cables, I accessed online accounts, my fingers steady but resolute. At 8 a.m., I found it, access to the utility accounts I'd set up, now linked to Robert's name. My hands shook as I canceled them: electricity, internet, water, leaving a $500 balance. That morning at 8:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I packed my bag, the Toronto skyline a cold witness, plotting my exit. The next day was their reckoning, a morning to face their folly. What they didn't know was I'd turned their rejection into a strike of independence, forged by 28 years of grit. The 24 hours leading to the cutoff were a meticulous blueprint of strategy and stealth. My days at Terra's a cover for the revenge coding in my mind. By December 1st, 2024, her apartment, its walls lined with tech posters, its table cluttered with laptops and coffee cups, its air tinged with the scent of burnt toast, became my command center where every keystroke and call fueled my resolve. Tara and I met that afternoon, her screen open on the sofa as we reviewed the accounts and bill records, the soft hum of her fan a rhythm to our planning. The utilities set up in my name in 2022 had been my contribution, their costs now $200 monthly, while my access had been exploited, leading to Robert's eviction threat. Tara's research revealed a pattern: Linda's demands for higher heat, Robert's refusal to pay my share, a cover-up of a 2023 rent dispute hushed with family pressure, a fragile household on the edge. I contacted Mr. Singh, a retired accountant who'd mentored me in 2021, his calm voice joining us via a crackling video call from his home in Mississauga. "You can disconnect and vanish. Hit them with silence," he advised, his tone laced with old wisdom. I nodded, my plan a circuit crafted from years of suppressed duty, each wire a memory of lost respect, stolen peace, broken ties. The cutoff, set for midnight on December 1st, 2024, would be their wake-up call. A morning of 150 relatives, neighbors, and friends, all drawn by the promise of a quiet holiday under the apartment's dim lights. I'd pose as a departing son, my jacket swapped for a hoodie with a hidden pocket, my movements quick to conceal my intent, my short dark hair a symbol of my emerging strength. My task was to cancel the bills and leave a message, with Tara signaling Mr. Singh's contacts at 9 a.m., timed with Robert's routine, ensuring maximum disruption. I secured the plan through Tara, who networked with a legal aid friend in downtown Toronto. Her text on December 1st a confirmation I clutched like a mouse. Her note reading, "You've got this, Ethan." She suspected nothing, her support a tool I'd wield with care. Preparation was a rigorous code, a blend of mental discipline and emotional steel. I practiced my exit daily along the Trinity Bellwoods Park Trail, perfecting a brisk stride and a neutral nod that masked my burning resolve, my backpack tapping a rhythm of purpose against my side. I rehearsed lines, just grabbing my stuff. Though each word carried the weight of Robert's betrayal, Tara's steadfast friendship, and Mia's innocent trust in my past. Physically, I sketched designs and packed daily, my hands steadying, but each line strengthened my will to stand tall that morning. I revisited old mementos, bill receipts from 2022, a faded photo with Mia at the CN Tower, a sketchbook she loved, a rejected rent offer, each a spark in my fire. One night, I found a trashed box of my art supplies, its contents lost, and raged, the lost creativity fueling my fury. I tracked Mia's life, her school projects, her friendship with a boy named Jay, hoping this act would secure her future free from Robert's shadow. On December 1st, Robert called, his tone gruff with false concern. "Ethan, just pay and stay. Don't be stupid," he said, his voice rough but laced with control. I agreed, hiding my scheme. He didn't suspect I'd coordinated with Tara, who'd lined up Mr. Singh's advice, or that I'd prepared a hoodie with a hidden pocket, its fabric a shield of my past honor. The plan solidified that night, tested with a mock logout, its weight a promise of justice. At 7:30 a.m. on December 2nd, I left, the apartment silent with the hum of a dying heater, the Toronto skyline a gray witness. Robert spotted me near the door, frowning. "Ethan, where's the heat?" he muttered. I nodded, my backpack ready. At 8:05 a.m., as the utilities cut, I logged out the accounts, my pulse a drumbeat. I slipped Tara the confirmation, whispering, "Now!" She nodded, calling Mr. Singh. At 8:15 a.m., the blackout hit, Robert's scream echoing as he found the cold, dark apartment. The apartment morning erupted into a whirlwind of chaos, relatives scattering like startled pigeons fleeing the cold rooms, media phones pivoting to capture every frame of the unfolding family drama. Robert's protests drowned by the silence of dead appliances that reverberated off the bare walls, the dim light casting fractured shadows across the scene. Mia stood stunned near the kitchen, Jay's hand on her shoulder offering silent support, her eyes wide with shock as the truth hit, while neighbors murmured in clusters, their quiet world shaken by the scandal. I stood tall, my hoodie a badge of my hard-earned resolve forged over 28 years, my backpack a symbol of strength that had carried me through the toughest nights, my heart pounding with a mix of vindication and the bittersweet ache of a family nearly lost to Robert's harshness that had cast a long shadow. Mr. Singh's contact swarmed the scene, his dark coat a stark contrast to the apartment's faded decor of wood and photos, presenting the cancellation proof as Robert roared, "This is sabotage, Ethan, you'll pay." His voice cracking with the desperation of a father watching his control dissolve. They read terms, bills cut, heat off, power gone. Each word a hammer blow to his authority, the list growing with a $500 penalty for unpaid utilities that funded his pride. Their voices steady as they recited the litany. Tara approached, her voice a lifeline amid the din of shouting and neighbor gossip. "They're frozen, Ethan. You've done it. His reign is over," she said, her eyes alight with the thrill of the reckoning. The media buzz was immediate. Posts like Parker's power play and Son's 28-year revenge spread across X by 10 a.m. My name a murmur of awe in the chaos that swirled through the building, phones thrust toward me like styluses seeking a line. Robert turned to me, his face flushed with rage that modeled his once stern features, sweat beading on his brow like frost on a window, his worn sweater now disheveled as Mr. Singh's contact tightened his grip on the papers, his posture slumping under the weight of defeat. "You? After all this time, you ungrateful brat? You've ruined us," he bellowed, his voice breaking with the desperation of a man whose dominance was shredded. His hands shaking as he pointed at me with a trembling finger. I met his gaze, unflinching despite the tremor in my own hands that betrayed the adrenaline coursing through me. My voice clear and resonant with the strength of 28 years of silent struggle that had honed my resolve. "You called me a leech, Dad, that I couldn't stay past your bills. I proved you wrong with a cutoff that outlasts your rules, with grit that outran your scorn, with every design I crafted while you belittled and faltered. This is my payback. For me. For Mia whose future you shadowed. For every relative you dismissed. For every bond you broke with your pride." He lunged, his fist raised in a futile gesture of defiance that spoke of his last grasp at control. But Mr. Singh's contact restrained him with firm hands, dragging him back as Linda sobbed uncontrollably, her coffee mug slipping to shatter on the floor in a spray of brown, a symbol of her fallen support. Mia rushed to me, her voice breaking through the noise like a lifeline tossed into a stormy room. "Ethan, I didn't know. I'm sorry for believing him," she said, tears streaking her face as she wrapped her arms around me. The first embrace in months that mended a rift I'd feared growing. I hugged her back, the warmth of her body against mine a balm to the wounds of the past, Jay nodding in support with a quiet smile, a bridge to a future reclaimed from the shadows of my past. The crowd buzzed with neighbors, their phones thrust toward me like brushes seeking a stroke. But I turned away, my victory a private sketch burning bright within, a celebration no scandal could dim. The fallout was swift and relentless, a reckoning that dismantled the remnants of Robert's household rule. Mr. Singh's contact reclaimed the $500 penalty, seizing the apartment's utility records from the landlord's office in Bloor West where files sat silent, documents from bill logs hauled away in folders, freezing their personal accounts that held the profits of their thrift, halting their holiday plans across Ontario where they'd once boasted, while inspectors reviewed the accounts for fraud, uncovering a safe with unpaid notices. Their dominance collapsed like a crashed program, their reputation tarnished beyond repair, friends distancing themselves with shrugs, their names a cautionary tale whispered in parks from Parkdale to the Annex, a fallen patriarch replaced by silence. The media dug deeper, uncovering a $300 slush fund for Linda's shopping that funded Robert's pride and Mia's phone, a detail that sent shockwaves through the Toronto family scene and prompted a community inquiry. The scandal dominating lunch gossip. Mia reconciled fully, joining me in learning design for my new place, while Tara and I planned a studio setup in a space we'd saved for. The scent of coffee a promise of peace. Linda faded from social circles, her friend group dissolving like a receding tide, and relatives, including my uncle, distanced themselves, seeking new ties to escape the taint. I didn't gloat. My goal was independence, not destruction, a balance I'd learned from years of creating. But the sight of Robert's fall brought a profound peace that filled the hollow left by his rejection, a quiet satisfaction that settled in my soul like a well-drawn line. That morning, at 8:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 2, 2024, I sat with a cup of coffee that glowed amber in the sunlight, the news confirming their struggle on a muted phone, a letter from Robert in hand, its envelope creased from my grip. "Ethan, I was wrong. Help us," it pleaded, his handwriting shaky with the defeat that had finally overtaken him, the ink smudged as if by tears of regret. I didn't reply, the past too raw, my strength too hard-won to soften now, the paper crumpling in my fist as I set it aside to focus on the celebration ahead. Months later, their hearing began in a courtroom in Toronto's Small Claims Court, Mr. Singh's contact and inspectors wielding my evidence with the precision of a designer's hand, Tara's testimony a damning narrative of financial overreach, and Mr. Singh's account records a final code, the gallery filled with former neighbors who nodded in silent support, their gossip traded for nods. I attended the first day, my presence a silent testament to my journey from rejected son to this moment, seated beside Mia and Tara whose hand I held tightly, and watched Robert's defense crumble under the weight of truth. Dozens of creditors stepping forward with tales of pressure and neglect, their voices a chorus of validation that echoed through the room. The judge, a stern jurist with a passion for fairness and a gavel that rang like a stylus tap, ordered a full investigation, hinting at a potential restitution and fines that loomed like a blank canvas, his ruling a vindication of my 28-year wait. Mia and I launched Parker Designs, restoring family pride with digital projects, hiring Tara as a consultant whose expertise bridged my past and present, while I mentored kids in art at a community center, my hands finding new purpose in teaching. I visited the apartment once, its rooms silent with the absence of Robert's voice, its photos a memory of my youth, a monument to his pride and my redemption that stood tall in my heart. My revenge, 28 years in the making, was not just justice served with a stroke of spite. It was my rebirth, a celebration reclaimed from the wreckage of his rejection, a testament to the resilience I'd always carried within, a masterpiece that grew richer with each bond one mended.